Hi everybody, and welcome to Wednesday night relaxation with me, Susie, Wildheart Yoga. And I think I've had a really busy day today, so I think, things are picking up now, energy wise, aren't they? Spring's here and life's starting to feel a bit full as we're all preparing to get back to a bit more normal. And I think these Wednesday sessions are much needed. I definitely need a rest tonight, so I've been looking forward to it. So before we begin, I'm going to do intention affirmation. So I'm just shaking my affirmation cards in this basket, and I'm going to pick one out for tonight. Oh, this one again is fun. I look for lightness, playfulness and humour in life. And yes, I think that's so important on the mat and off the mat. It's certainly something that's important to me, to keep that light-heartedness. And if we cannot take ourselves too seriously in our yoga practice, if we do a balance and we topple over a little bit, or do a burp if we're doing a twist or something, or just that sense of playful experimentation. So if we can go into our practice with that openness and that idea that it doesn't have to be perfect, and we're just experimenting and actually we're enjoying ourselves, then I think we can be a bit less hard on ourselves in life if we can learn to do it in this little space. But for tonight, we're going to have a nice chill down. So if you can make yourself a bolster, so I've got a nice bolster that I have already. If you haven't been to this before and you don't know about bolsters, all you need to do is roll a blanket like this and make yourself a blanket sausage, and there you have a bolster. This is quite a big one, a nice big blanket, so you can roll a couple of blankets together to make it thicker. But coming to rest on your bolster, so we're going to have it the length of the back, from the crown down to the sacrum. And what I do is I always put a cushion underneath, so that I raise the bolster a little bit, which is quite nice. And if your bolster's too thick and it niggles in your back, you could put a block or a cushion at the front, which is also what I do, because I've got a really nice big bolster. And just coming down so that the bolster comes into the base of the back, and you just lay down over the top of that bolster. Make sure your head stays on it. If it comes off the end, you can always tuck another blanket underneath. Actually, that feels quite nice. I'm going to keep it. And just bringing the soles of the feet together, if that feels comfortable. So if it's not comfortable to leave your knees out to the side, then by all means just straighten the legs out along the floor, and you can let the toes drop out to the side so that the legs are relaxed. And there's a gentle rotation of the hips, an external rotation, and we've got the same on the shoulders and the arms. If we have the backs of the hands on the floor, then the shoulders are gently opening, and the chest is gently opening. We can just arrive in our yoga practice. So just lying down now on the bolster. And if none of this equipment works for you, then take it all away and just lay on the floor. Just have whatever support there that works for you. There are no rules and regulations other than what your body is telling you feels good. So as you lay on your back, just seeing if you can tune into maybe the sounds around you first of all. So just see what's around sound-wise. Sounds that are nearby. your breath. And we've got a very small flat, so I can hear my fridge. Just noticing what's there for you. And then maybe seeing if you can take your awareness to the distance. What can you hear a little bit further away? Maybe outside, if you've got the window open, you might be able to hear some noises from outside. And then bring your awareness all the way back inwards now, inside, and maybe just take your awareness to the third eye space between the eyebrows. So when you have your eyes closed, looking out into that darkness, and just noticing what that's feeling like. And then just taking your awareness, just softening out the edges of your awareness to notice your breath. Notice the quality of your breathing. And maybe now we've been here for a few moments, we can start to ask ourselves how we're doing internally. Noticing how we're feeling. Are we clenched? Are we feeling tense? Is there any tension around? How's the belly doing? Is it soft? What about the jaw and the eyes? And we're not worried about if there is tension there, that's fine. We're just noticing. And maybe by the end of this practice, it might feel a bit softer. So we're going to take 3 inhales and exhales. And as we exhale, we're going to purse our lips in an O and blow out through the lips. So I'll just show you. Breathing in, exhale. We're going to do that 3 times. And what you might notice about that, so you carry on now, off you go. I'll just talk a bit more. And what you might notice as you exhale, that by doing it through your lips, you're just extending that exhale in quite a natural way. We're not forcing. It's just a way of slowing down the exhale. And somehow the quality of the inhale is deeper after that. And it starts to feel like you're really releasing all the tension in your body as you breathe out. And once you've done your 3, just allow the breath to return back to normal. Good. So we'll just start with a stretch. We're going to come up to sitting shortly. If you can have the soles of the feet together here, if you haven't already, bring the soles of the feet together. So we're not going to stay for too much longer in this position. And we're just going to catch hold of the elbows and draw the arms back and down. Oh, just breathing into that stretch in the front body. Glorious. Nice opening. And it's so nice doing passive stretches by laying over the bolster, because you don't have to make any great effort to feel a huge benefit and a huge opening in the body. And then we bring the elbows down, we change the cross, and we do the same again. Just notice if one side might feel a little different to the other side. That's perfectly normal and fine. And then we'll bring the arms down. And bringing the knees back in. Just rest your knees together briefly and have the feet, walk the feet out towards the edges of your mat. And just allowing the internal rotation now of your hips. Soften the belly again, softening around the jaw and around the face. So if you can just drop facial expression. No one's watching you now. So you can let go of any kind of holding in the muscles of the face. Good. Okay. So before we all fall asleep, I'm just going to get you to roll to the right to come up very slowly and carefully to a seated position. And I recommend having something to sit on, and maybe a little bit more than you normally would for relaxation, because we reduce the amount of effort that we need to put in. So I'm having a blanket on top of my block and coming to sitting, and just have the feet resting on the floor in parallel. And we're going to just start by releasing all of our joints in order. So I've been doing this practice in the mornings for the past week or so, and it's been lovely. So just starting, actually start with the toes. So coming onto the heels, and we can just start to pull the toes down and then spread the toes. So just the toes. See if you can manage to not involve the heels. If this gives you cramp, then by all means you can use the whole of the foot, but that's a different feeling, and it involves the legs as well. But yeah, you know, if you're feeling crampy, that's not very relaxing. So just do what feels right. Good. A few more, just bending the toes, spreading the toes. Just taking a moment of gratitude for your feet and all that they do for you. Good. And then we'll pick up the leg and we'll start to roll the ankles. Oh, I love a good ankle roll. Really just doing it mindfully and slowly. It's such a small movement. This is one of the basics in the Hatha Yoga warm-up. You know, they've been doing this for thousands of years, just the ankle roll. But if we can really bring our minds into it, we feel into the foot, and we can feel into the muscle up the leg and almost going up into the knee. And then we'll swap sides and we'll do the same on the other side. Really make it a luxurious movement. Obviously, if you've got a bit of a painful ankle, just taking care. Have to remember, just because I like it doesn't mean everyone does. And then taking the foot the other direction. And then the next joint up is our knees. So we can just make some gentle movements by drawing the foot in, pushing it out, and we're supporting under the legs so that we're not overworking the muscles of the leg, but we are just starting to ease into the knee. You can draw that knee in quite close, and then you can start to feel that you're working into the hip as well. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So having the other leg extended if you can just gives you a little bit of support while you're doing this. Good. And then we're going to come round, so we're going to bring the legs around so the front foot comes onto the front thigh. And actually, if I'm demonstrating properly, you'd go to the right first. And because I'm mirroring you, I'll go to the left. And lifting up nice and tall, putting one hand on the little crease of the thigh. I was doing this in a yoga class this week, and I thought, oh, I'm going to nick that. It's actually quite nice. Lifting the buttock off the floor, rolling it back down. So we're just working into the hips. So it's really subtle, and you can make it deeper by making it into a twist. So you could bring this hand around a bit more and start to twist if you wanted to. Otherwise, just working into that hip. And by all means, in these, just pause if you want to. If you get to that position and think, oh, I just need to work into that a bit more, pause if you want to. Good. And then we'll swap sides. Doing the same in that crease on the upper thigh, just lifting the buttock and lowering. Looks a bit like a 1970s disco move, doesn't it? Good. Just enjoy that feeling of opening in the hip, stretching out the muscles after a long day. Good. And then we're going to come to wide legs, so Upavista. So not overly wide, just as wide as feels comfortable that you can maintain. And then we're going to stir the cauldron. So normally with this I say go forwards and roll back. But I just want you to focus on the forward movement, trying to keep the body kind of neutral as you come up. So we're not leaning back and putting any tension on our core. We're just really easing into the legs, and you should be able to feel the backs of the legs, but also what we're doing is feeling into the midriff. And we're releasing the waist, so we've worked up a little bit from the hips up to the waist. And then we'll go the other way. This is such a nice thing to do, this one. Just releases a multitude of muscles up the back, and if you get the arms involved as well, you know, you can start the work going up the shoulders. Good. And then coming back to centre. And then we'll just bring the soles of the feet together into Baddha Konasana, just briefly, holding round the toes. And again, the feet can be quite far out here. And we'll just have a brief moment of stillness as we lift up, drawing up with the crown of the head, and then allowing the knees to drop down to the floor. And if we want, we can close the eyes and we can just check in once again. Check in with the breath. Checking in with how busy our mind is feeling. Are we starting to settle a little, maybe? Starting to let go and soften. Good. So just release the legs now. And we're going to cross the legs if that feels comfortable. Otherwise you can work with the legs extended in Dandasana. But if you're able to cross the legs with the right leg in front, lifting up. And we're just going to do some gentle twisting motions. So going to the right and then sort of spinning around. So we kind of hold it briefly and then let it go and let the body flow back round to the opposite side. So we're not staying for too long, unless of course you get there and you think, oh, I just want to get into that a bit more. Then do so, you know, stay there. Otherwise, just letting yourself flow from side to side, almost like we're wringing out the back now. We can start to feel our back muscles engage, all the way from down in the lower back, all the way maybe starting to get up to the shoulder blade, in the mid of the mid back. Let's do a couple more. And actually, if we're turning the head as well, we're getting the neck involved. Good. Okay, and then coming back to centre, and then we'll change the cross of the legs. And the next bit we're working towards is the shoulders. So let's have a really luxurious, shoulder roll. So good. Connecting with those joints. Maybe we can hear a bit of crunching as we roll the shoulders. Rolling them back, so it's undoing all of that computer work that we may have been doing today. Maybe if we hold our tension in our shoulders, which many of us do, this is just a time for us to start letting go of that, this movement, just easing that out. And then we'll take the shoulders just the other way, so bringing them forwards. And again, just maybe even closing your eyes as you do this, so that you can really connect with the movement of the joint. And I'm really feeling my shoulder blades opening at the back of the body. as I go in this direction. Good. And then one roll back and down so that we can reconnect with our posture. And then we can take the hands onto the shoulders and we'll start to make circles with the elbows. And now we're really involving the arms and the chest, and we can really connect now in a deeper way with that rotation of the joint. So just enjoy that. Maybe you can time it with your inhales, inhaling to open, exhaling to close. Really slows you down when you start to bring the breath into it. Or you might prefer to have a little quicker movement. You might feel a bit more like you're releasing if your movement is a little quicker. And then going back the other way, drawing the circles with the elbows and noticing what's happening this way round. Good. And then bringing the arms down. So let's change the cross of the legs, just releasing the legs. And again, you can, by all means, if you want to change the way you're sitting, so you might decide, oh, actually I want to sit in Virasana, so with the feet either side. For some people this is not comfortable. The higher you are, the better. Otherwise, just changing the cross of the legs. And we're just going to open up through the shoulder blades. So bringing the arms out into the front, we're going to do Garudasana arms. So we'll bend at the elbows and we'll cross the left over the right. And you can either give yourself a big hug. In fact, let's all start with a hug. Oh, big hug. Bringing the fingers around to try and catch the shoulder blades. And you can lift the elbows here. And you're starting to open up into the back. Now, if you are quite open in the shoulders and relatively flexible in the arms, you may be able to bring the hands up and bind. So you're bringing the fingers of one hand onto the palm of the other. So it's likely it's the right hand into the left palm. And then what you might do there is lift the elbows. And with the breath, as you inhale, you lift, you exhale, you bring the hands away and bring the arms down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, bring the arms away and then come down. So you're doing like this little circle. If you're hugging, then just breathe into that stretch that you're getting. Lifting your elbows as well if you're hugging and just breathing into that release. And then we'll all find a bit of stillness if we're in Garudasana arms. Just breathing into that spaciousness that you're creating between the shoulder blades. And then releasing the hands down. Wow, feels nice. We'll do the same on the other side. So now we're crossing the right arm over. And if we'll do a hug first. Nice hug. Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a cuddle. Well done for getting through today. Lift the elbows. If you're staying here, then that's where you're working. Otherwise, bringing the hands. You can have the backs of the hands together if you want to, or just binding with the hands on the palm. And then breathing here. And once again, we inhale to lift the elbows, bring the hands away, like a circular motion, almost like a choo-choo train. Inhaling up, exhaling the arms forward and down, bringing them in, inhaling up, exhaling the hands forward and down. Just doing that a few times. If you're hugging yourself, just breathing into that hug, maybe slightly increasing the lift of the arms if you can. Good, and then we'll release the arms. And if you're in Virasana, you can put the hands on the soles of the feet here. If you're seated in crossed legs, then just release the legs briefly and then come back to a cross-legged position with the hands just resting on the thighs. And we'll all just come to a little pause. Once again, checking in with the body, checking in with the breath, Checking in with the mind. How are we doing? Are we settling? Are we softening? Good. Okay, so everyone now comes to cross legs, and we're going to do the neck. So we did everything else, we're going to get to the neck. We're going to really lift up here, finding your extension, dropping down through the sitting bones, and imagining that golden cord on the top of the head drawing up towards the sky. And then from there we lift the heart, lift the chest. We could even bring the hands together with the thumbs pressing into the heart space to lift the chest. And we're going to take our chin down towards our fingers, or our nose down towards our fingers. And we've opened up the back of the neck. So we're not forcing the chin down into the chest, just as far down as it comes and feels comfortable. We don't want any tension around the neck because we're releasing the back of the neck, but we're supporting that process by lifting the heart, and we breathe. And then we can take the head over to one side. Again, if you want to close your eyes and really luxuriate, it's a small movement, but it's very strong. And we're just rolling from side to side just to release the neck. Bringing the chin down towards the fingers and then back up to the side. So it's a really small but strong feeling in the neck. And we might increase the stretch as we bring the head to the side by drawing the opposite shoulder down a little. So we can start to feel that huge muscle in the side of the neck just to straighten out a little bit, easing out. And you can pause here if you want to, so just easing out, breathing into that. And then doing the same on the other side. And then we'll release the hands down, bringing the head back to normal. And we'll just turn the head just to release it from side to side. Good. Change the cross of your legs again. And this time we're just going to take the hands to the face. And in fact what we'll do first, we'll just rub the palms together to create some warmth and energy. Give them a really good rub. And just bring the hands a little way apart, just see if you can feel that tingle and the warmth that's there. And then from there, just bringing that to your face, just resting it over the eyes and just allow the eyes to be soft underneath your hands. Almost as if your hands are just easing out any tension that's in the face and in the head. So we'll bring our own healing to ourselves, giving ourselves permission to let go. And keeping that softness, we can move the hands down now over the ears. Just have them gently cupped so you can still hear me. And actually, if you cup them gently over the ears, it almost sounds like the sea. It's like listening to a shell. Just muffles the world around you a little. Feels quite nice, just starting with that idea of pratyahara, of sense withdrawal, bringing everything inwards. And then we'll bring the hands down and we'll rest the hands on the heart space. Feel the warmth of the hands on your heart. Just allowing any softening to happen. See if you can just let everything go a little bit. And you might feel the urge to move your hands down the body. So just moving the hands to wherever perhaps the body is asking for that contact. Maybe bringing the hands down to the belly. And as you do so, maybe noticing how the breath moves the body. Feeling the hands moving as the breath enters and leaves your body. Good. And then we'll bring the hands back onto the thighs. And we're going to make our way down to the floor. So coming off your support and popping it to one side. In fact, just briefly, we'll come onto hands and knees on our way down. So pressing into the hands, we're just going to ease out through the back. So we inhale. Oh, feel that stretch through the front body, and we'll just hold here. So I've dropped my back, I've blossomed my bottom. I remember someone once taught me that in an Anyasara yoga class. I think it was Theo Wildcroft. She was very good, and I always remember her saying, blossom your bottom. And then we tuck under and we lift the back, dropping the head, and now we're stretching up through the back body. So the front body's curling in and the back body gets a good stretch. You can even have a wiggle here. Oh, that's nice. And then we'll just take a bit of movement between the two now. So just easing carefully between those two. Inhale, exhale to curl in. Inhale to lift the heart. Exhale to curl in. And then we'll come to a flat back. If you can bear to tuck your toes under here, take the weight back so it's coming back over your heels, so you're opening up through the feet. Just feeling those feet opening. If that feels all right, then carry on, walking the hands forwards and allowing the chest to start to drop down towards the floor, and the ears are going to come in line with the upper arms. So it's a nice deep stretch into the body. An extended child pose, or I think some people call it hare pose. And again, feel free to wiggle into these. You don't have to be still straight away. You might even find that your head comes to the floor, or you might want to pop your head on some support. Either way, just staying in this as long as feels okay. As soon as it starts to feel uncomfortable, you can just release the toes and come back and just rest in child pose. But if you can give it another moment or two here, just do that. If not, just coming back to rest. And then we'll all come back and just rest down. Bringing the knees in, and then you can rest the head on the hands. And that's quite relaxing for the neck. Or you can bring the head down with the hands by the feet, and that's also really soft and really nice. But whatever you're doing, I hope you're feeling that you can really let go. If your hips and things are irritating, you can put your bolster under your bottom, or you could lay on your tummy and just let everything flop out on your tummy. Just breathing here, noticing how the breath feels in this pose. Noticing how when we're on our front, resting the head down in a forward fold, that the eyes can soften and quieten. Just enjoying that sensation of releasing. See if you can let the shoulders go a bit more. Can you let the eyes soften a bit more? And the mouth and the jaw release a bit more. And then we'll roll up very gently and just notice that softness, maybe the urge to keep your eyes closed. And we're going to come down onto our backs. So having some equipment nearby, we'll come down onto the back. Oh, and let's just surrender the weight of the body down. And what I always like to do is to catch my head in my interlocked hands and just lift up and just stretch through the neck. And you can just have a bit of gentle movement just to ease out through the neck. And then we spread the elbows out to the side and rest the head down on the hands so the elbows can draw down. Now, if your shoulders are painful, this will not be relaxing. So bring the arms out instead in line with your shoulders. If your shoulders are cool to do this, then just enjoy that openness, that release through the shoulders. And if you're feeling that you want to mirror that with the hips, you could bring the soles of the feet together, or you could rest the the knees together and step the feet wide. So just doing whichever variation feels good tonight. And slowing down the breath. Some luxurious inhales and exhales, and with each exhale, letting go. And then we'll change the cross of the fingers if you've got your fingers interlocked. If you haven't, then just keeping the arms in line with the shoulders. You may want to raise them along, up a little higher perhaps. Not in the air, just along the floor in line with the ears, so that you're opening up a little more through the armpit chest. And then we'll bring those knees back together. And if you've got some support, so you've got some cushions or a bolster, press into the feet just to lift the pelvis and pop it underneath your sacrum. So just having, quite a bit of height is good, because we're going to bring the feet up, and just having that height under your bottom means it's more comfortable to maintain the legs. Otherwise you're kind of shaking, trying to keep the legs raised. So just have a play around with what you've got. And if it is a bit of a strain still, even though you've got support, you can have the knees slightly bent, which actually feels really nice. So I'm just going to carry on with my knees slightly bent. And what I can feel is a releasing across my abdomen. And now I'm bringing my hands down so that the backs of the hands are on the floor. They're a little way away from my body. And I'm just tuning into the subtle sensations of being upside down. So whilst this flow of blood is kind of rushing down towards the core of the body, the upper body, maybe I'm feeling something as this is happening. And maybe I'm just noticing what that is. Breathing here. Just enjoying the sensation of inversion. And it's supported. Ideally, if you've got a wall to put your legs up, that's even better. Just still having that support under your bottom with your legs resting against the wall is really, really good, really relaxing. And let's just wiggle the toes and the feet. And then we'll bring the knees in now. Squeeze those knees in towards the chest. spread the feet, spread the toes now. And then we'll take the feet to the floor. And we're just working our way now towards our Shavasana, our relaxation, our stillness. Before we do, we're just going to have the feet in line with the hips, and we're just dropping the knees from side to side, having the arms out in line with the shoulders. And we can take the head the opposite way to the knees. And once again, we might decide we want to pause. So we might find that we drop the knees to one side, and actually we just want to just hang out there for a bit and breathe into it. And if that's what you want to do, then that's great. If you want to keep moving and easing, then do that as well. Whichever's working for you tonight. Changing sides if you are pausing. Using the breath in the exhale just to let go a bit more each time you exhale. And then bring those knees back to centre and start to get yourself set up for your Shavasana. So traditionally Shavasana is done laying on your back, on the floor with your feet just a bit more than hip width apart, and just allowing the feet to drop out to the side, and make sure that you're warm and you're cozy. So really get yourself set up. And it might be that once you're in your Shavasana, you want to stay there for a bit longer than I'm going to be here, and that's fine. And what I'll do is I will ring the bell at the end of this session, and then you have the choice to either bring yourself gently out of your practice or stay for a bit longer. So I'm going to leave that down to you. Normally I'd bring you out in a normal class, but because we don't have so long, I think it's nice if you've got into a chill zone to give you the chance to stay there. So you're on your back, and the backs of the hands are on the floor too, like they were earlier, just allowing the shoulders to open. And you're warm and you're cozy and you're supported by the earth beneath. And that earth is welcoming your release. Allowing your body on the exhale just to let go. Each exhale is a letting go, a release. And just noticing for the last time the quality of the breath. Noticing how you're feeling. What is going on with the mind now? And we're not judging ourselves, we're just observers. And I'll just read this affirmation once more, and maybe we can take this into the rest of our week together. Fun. I look for lightness, playfulness and humour in life. I look for lightness, playfulness and humour in life. Just bearing that in mind now as you relax in Shavasana. Namaste.